Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmaster club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Irish Casnella, your sergeant at arms of the meeting. Our club mission: we provide supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Our leadership statement: Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual hand raised, so we can all immediately see who is keeping the time. Our Toastmaster of the day will lead our meeting. Leadership Speak members and guests, welcome to today's meeting where we delve into the theme critical thinking, a skill that lies at the heart of advanced community and leadership. At Leadership Speak, we are proud to be guided by our President and VPE, DTM Brahm Memone, whose vision continues to set the benchmark for excellence and innovation in Toastmasters. Under Brahm's leadership, today's meeting promises to challenge and inspire us to elevate our presentations and evaluations to the next level. Critical thinking empowers speakers to craft compelling messages that resonates with audiences and inspire action. For evaluators, it is a vital tool for offering advanced feedback that fosters growth and refinement. This isn't just another meeting. It's a masterclass in excellence, collaboration, and transformative growth. With Brahm at the helm, let's embrace the challenge to think critically, to speak powerfully, and to lead with impact. Let's get started by welcoming DTM Brahm Memone into the Zoom spotlight to set the tone for this inspiring session. Over to you, DTM Brahm Memone.
Good morning, everyone. Sound check. Sergeant at Arms, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Canada. This club is in District 86 for the benefit of our guests. In District 86, it is a morning, and this is where I am. It is 8:35 in the morning right here. And I'm sure you are from all over the world. Our members are from many different countries. I'll get to that in a moment. But first, let me look at the screen here and see who's here. And I see people, some of our members. I can spot that Guerdah Felix is here. John Ojeifo is already with his toast. Wonderful. I can see our speakers and general evaluator. So if you are on the agenda, if you are the member of Leadership Speak, please put on your videos, please. Thank you very much. So I'll wait for a second while Vinod, you put on your video. Atul, put on your video, please. Show your face because you are part of Leadership Speak. Thank you. Usually, Joseph, put on your video. Lydia, Jyoti, if you can all put on your videos, that'll be great because we are Leadership Speak. That's just so wonderful. Let's show our guests who we are. Rosie, how's Nairobi?
Great, Brahm. Very hot today. How's it
Very
there?
hot. And it is minus 5 or 6 degrees over here. So we compensate for you. All right.
Awesome. Keep doing that.
So Ladies and gentlemen, and especially the guests, welcome to Leadership Speak. And let me tell you a little bit about Leadership Speak. This is not just any club. We are a club that is in 29 different countries. We're a global club. We span 15 time zones. The club furthest east to me is 13 hours away in the Philippines, and Indonesia is, I think, about 12 hours away. And on the west, Calgary, Alberta, 2 hours on that other side. So total 15 hours in time zones, 29 different countries. Now, we were the top club last year. We achieved 158 education awards. We have a 55 members strong. And we are only going to be celebrating our 3rd anniversary coming up on February the 15th. We were chartered on February the 17th, 3 years ago. I'm trying to calculate 2022. Not only that, 2 years running, dear guests, 2 years running, Leadership Speak has won the Club of the Year at District 86. Of course, if we are top of the world, District 86 gave us this trophy, 2nd year in the running. So that's who we are. What I like to do is to welcome you all to this club. Today we are going to be talking about critical thinking. Now, critical thinking is very, very important to us. But, dear guests, before I go into that, welcome. What I'd like you to do is there's a guest book being posted in the chat right now. Leah, are you there? Or who's posting the guest book? So if you can post the guest book in the chat for our guests so that our guests can sign in. Thank you very much, Hannah. It'll be posted in a second in the chat. And so when it's posted, it'll take a couple of seconds to get there. Please sign the guest book. Let us know who you are, where you are from, what country you are. If you're interested in joining Leadership Speak, indicate, yes, you'd like to join Leadership Speak, or just say, I'm here and I want to learn about critical thinking, and that's fine as well. I have been a Toastmaster for 28 years, and everything that I've known in Toastmasters is going to be in this particular training, as well as I coach and train, and I've been doing that for 33 years outside in the real world, or is it 31 years now, out in the real world, and I consult with large organizations, and I coach and I mentor. So I'll bring everything here that I can to serve you all to the best ability that I can, and some more. I just keep pushing myself, so I hope you'll get value today. The guest book is now posted. Thank you, Hannah, very much for posting the guest book. Welcome, guests. So please do sign in the guest book. We will be posting this link a couple of times more during the meeting for you as we go along. Now, before I go on, I would like to ask of my team to sort of help here. And the first thing I'd like to do is ask John Ojeifo to deliver the toast. So John, if you can come on and deliver the toast. John, how are you, by the way? What's the temperature in Washington?
Well, it's about 24 degrees.
That's Fahrenheit, of course.
Yes.
And it's going to be, I hear, very warm on Monday.
Oh.
Over to you. Let's not get there. Let's not go there. John, over to you.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to raise a toast to critical thinking, a skill that empowers us all to see beyond the surface, challenge the status quo, and unlock our true potential. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, critical thinking is the ability to think in an organized and rational manner, understanding the logical connection between ideas and facts. It helps us to think, reflect, and rise above the ordinary. It is more than just a skill. It is a mindset. It is the courage to question the obvious, the curiosity to explore the unknown, and the wisdom to seek clarity in chaos. A few weeks ago, I saw a social media posting claiming that drinking lemon water every morning cures all illnesses. Instead of accepting it at face value, I engage critical thinking. I assess the source, question the claim, sought evidence, considered the alternatives, and finally, I concluded that while drinking lemon water in the morning may have some health benefits, no single action can cure all illnesses for all people at all times and for every occasion. This demonstrates skepticism, analysis, and informed reasoning. Similarly, in every speech or evaluation that we give, critical thinking asks us to pause, reflect, and decide purposefully. It reminds us that our greatest power lies not in just what we know, but in how we think. Today, we get an opportunity to learn how we can apply critical thinking to our speeches and evaluations, break through barriers, and empower others. Every speech or evaluation we give is an invitation to dig deeper and an opportunity to grow. Let us all toast to sharper minds, stronger decisions, and brighter futures fueled by our critical thinking ability. May we all think boldly, act wisely, and inspire others to do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, please unmute, open your videos, raise your glasses. Here's to critical thinking.
The
Yes,
critical
critical
thinking.
thinking.
Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day, Brahm Memone.
That is an amazing, wonderful toast. And the reason why I say that is John really excelled at telling us a little bit about what in the real world critical thinking is needed, as well as what critical thinking we need in leadership speak, especially in an advanced club, as well as in all our speeches, presentations, and evaluations. Thank you, John. And so today we are going to talk about, of course, critical thinking. This is a training. Before I go into the training, I would like to ask, we've got some more guests join in. So there will be a link posted in the chat right now. So Hannah, if you can post that link again for those who just came in, who are our guests. Please sign in the guest book and tell us if you are interested in joining the club, or you are here for the training, whatever. Or if you want to wait and you want to sign in later until you heard the training and the speakers and so on, that's very good. Today's training is being conducted in a different manner than our previous trainings. We have had two other trainings. One was in October the 19th, and the other one was July the 27th, I believe. Today's training will be, I will just mention for the benefit of our guests and our members who are brand new here, what critical thinking is for a few minutes. Our speakers will come on and speak, and then our evaluators will come and do an evaluation. And then we will have a panel discussion based on our previous trainings that the speakers and the evaluators have viewed again and recalibrated their speaking and evaluations, and we will have a panel discussion based on their learnings and see how far we have progressed. No pressure on anyone. We are all learning here. This is a learning environment. So in a learning environment, there should never be any pressure. In a learning environment, either we are learning something or we have excelled at something. We exhibit where we've excelled, and then the places where We are still learning and will falter because we are learning. We don't know everything. And that is the environment a Toastmasters Club ought to be. That's the environment. It's a learning organization. We are all learning here. So put on your learning hat rather than, oh, I didn't know this, sorry, and start to apologize. We don't need apologies by anyone or anyone feel bad or embarrassed. Speakers, evaluators, guests, Toastmasters, whoever you are, put on your learning hat and let's start to learn today about critical thinking together. Now, this is something that John really mentioned about, when he said the lemon water. And is it really true that it cures everything when you drink it in the morning? See, there's a lot of narrative going on out there in the real world. Now, when I say narrative, it's not facts. And if you put on your TV, one person is saying this, the next TV station is saying something else. You switch on another station in different part of the world, they're saying something different about the same particular topic. And so all these are just narratives to sort of condition you in a certain direction rather than the truth. And so the trust in the political system, in the global economic system is very, very low currently. And critical thinking, therefore, is needed. When you are told something, you better think critically about what is right and what is wrong rather than take everything at face value. Now, that filters down into Toastmasters in a slightly different way, of course. In terms of when the presenter is presenting, is it a narrative that or is it true? Has it been researched and is it been backed up by the research? Or is it a personal experience and this is what I experienced, therefore is it authentic? Either it's backed by research again, or is it authentic, my authentic experience, and therefore am I building trust? Am I influencing or inspiring or motivating? What am I doing with my particular presentation, right? So your idea must have integrity when you are presenting in a Toastmasters Club or anywhere globally, if you're speaking globally, or if you're on TV and you're doing something and it's not about narrative, it's about integrity and the truth, all right? That is when we move masses. That is when things change. That is when, we create possibility for the human race. And here we are learning how to speak powerfully out in the real world. In an advanced club, we emphasize that whatever you're doing in Toastmasters must be transferable easily outside in the real world. So there's a big implications as well as to how one puts together a presentation. A presentation that really is well thought out, that's critical thinking in the presentation, and it is backed with facts or personal experience that helps the audience move forward in the right direction. It is, therefore, the ability to connect the dots in a presentation between the title, the opening, and how the ideas are stacked together to the supporting ideas that drives towards the conclusion, which is the call to action the audiences take away. It's always, we emphasize in an advanced club, your presentation should always be about the audience and spend some time for the audience's takeaway or call to action, what it's in it for the audience. So, ladies and gentlemen, and if you're especially a guest, you are now beginning to see a little bit of a difference between an advanced club and a community club. So here we are really focused on when a speaker stands up to speak as a leader. That's why we are called leadership speak. And as leadership speak, we speak as leaders to a group of leaders, right? And therefore, all these things must be present in a presentation to speak with confidence, conviction, and there has to be credibility in your speaking. Credibility because ideas have integrity and it's backed by facts or personal experience, and it is authentic. So that's critical thinking in a presentation at the basic level. I will remind our presenters and our evaluators, and for those who are guests and members, who are newer members, that we did this particular presentation that I'm about to show one slide in October the 19th. And so this is an excerpt from the October the 19th presentation of how to build a speech and structure. And this is what we've asked the presenters to do and the evaluators to evaluate based on this style of presentation. Now, what do I mean by that? So if this is your presentation and depicted by this triangle, that's the conclusion. That's your finale. So when you have an idea about what am I going to talk about, so sure, write out the whole idea if you want, or whatever it is, the key critical points in the idea that I want to speak about. And then begin to craft out of that ideation process, what is the conclusion? What is the audience's takeaway? What is the audience going to take away? What is the key message from this ideation and this process, that from my experience or from the research that I've done? What do I really want to convey to the audience? What's the key message? And which is the call to action, the takeaway for the audience? So begin with the conclusion in mind after the ideation process. After that, what you do is, okay, so now that I know what the conclusion is and I know what the idea is, what is the powerful title and how am I going to open this particular presentation to grab the attention, whatever it is, and how I'm going to lead the audience towards the conclusion based on my title and opening. And then with that in mind, what we do is, what is the body of the speech? How am I going to stack my ideas towards the conclusion, right? And therefore, what are the key supporting ideas in my presentation? What are the benefits, the issues that I'm going to present to the audience and make them think or come along on a journey with me? If there's any research, what the sources and where did I get it from? What is it, the Harvard Medical Review or the Harvard Business Review, whatever it was, or the New England Medical Journal? Where did I get this information from? So that begins to add credibility, which creates trust as well. If there are anecdotes, stories, and concepts, your own personal experiences that you've had, then it becomes like an authentic story, and it has to be told in a way that the audience believes you and your story. It's not made up. It's not contrived. It's not dramatized. It's real. And then if it's a 7-minute speech, perhaps 2 to 3 points along the way that adds to your story or your idea that will drive the audience towards the conclusion. That's it. That is critical thinking in a nutshell. The training that we did on October the 27th was about a 45-minute training with all the different explanations of everything and the whole training. This is just an overview for the benefit of our guests and our new members who've joined since then. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a quick review again of a few of the slides. So if there it is. My technology is working today. So there has to be a self-awareness of, if I'm standing here and speaking, how am I affecting the whole meeting? How am I affecting the audience? And what am I doing while I'm here? So I'm constantly practicing before I come here. I practice quite a bit. And then while I'm here, I'm making sure that it is making sense while I'm speaking. And is the audience having a reaction or not to what I'm saying, and what sort of reaction there is? Based on that, of course, then I begin to consider, okay, it's for the audience. All presentations must be about the audience, okay? And therefore, how is the presentation structured? This is just a summary of what I've just said, okay? Begins with conclusion, call to action. So the evaluator, when they first begin to evaluate, they could say, what did I take away from this particular presentation? What was the call to action? This is what I got out of this particular presentation. And based on that, this is how you stacked your presentation. And this was your title and opening. This is how you constructed to get to the conclusion. And therefore, I did get that the presentation was, and this is very, very important for the evaluator to mention, what did they really get? Which is, they're representing the audience. What did they get? Were they informed? Were they inspired? Were they motivated? Were they persuaded? Were they entertained? What happened for the evaluator who is representing the audience and giving feedback to the presenter so that they can improve and go to the next level? So this is in a nutshell everything about the training and what we are going to see today. All right. So critical thinking in conclusion is all about connecting the dots. Title, opening, how you stack your ideas, the ideation, I mean, how you're going to convey your ideas with the stack, and the conclusion, all right? And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, if I can move here, you don't have to see my face, right? Critical thinking is the ability to connect the dots and arrive at the conclusion that inspires, informs, motivates, and persuades. That is the crux of what we are going to be discussing today, and our speakers will, they're all learning. They will not have everything here down packed. Some of them may have, I don't know. We are all learning together. We will have a discussion, a panel discussion at the end. The panel discussion will be, we'll call the speaker and the evaluator and myself and the general evaluator, and we will have a discussion of where we can improve, what we did right, how can we take this training to the next level, and so on and so forth. So things like that. Basically, it's nothing, not to put anybody on the spot, by the way. So if you're a guest here, we are an advanced club, we are a bit more direct, and we just discuss what we are learning in a group setting, okay? Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, then, what this brings me to, if my technology works, I'm trying to make my technology work here, is, before, key thing, I forgot about this particular slide here. For an effective critical thinking presentation and the value to the presenter and to the audience, here's the thing. Traditionally, or in most clubs that I've been in, community clubs, long time back, and I'm not saying that this is the case in all the community clubs or all the clubs, but in some of the clubs that I've been, the speaker is on one side and the evaluator is on the other side, and they think there's a dividing wall between them, and there really isn't a wall between them, really. I think that the speaker and the evaluator, and this is what we teach in Leadership Speak, that the evaluator and the speaker are an inseparable partnership. So we did ask the speakers and the evaluators to get together beforehand, and the evaluators were going to get from the speaker, what else did you need besides the objectives of the presentation? What else could I do for you? Because you are building skills from your previous presentation and taking that into account in this particular presentation. What else are you looking for in this presentation that I can help you with? And that is an inseparable partnership. I don't know if that is being done in other clubs. We do emphasize it in our clubs, and it's a hit and miss as well. We are all learning here. So let's see today how we've done and whether we've done better, or what other learnings can we do from this. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, critical thinking, I think this is the last slide. So I will now, this is the end of the training. I mean, an overview of the training. And now we will start with our first speaker. So we will wait for a second, let everyone take a breath and contain themselves and be present. That's what I mean, not contain themselves, be present. And while we are doing that, and while we are taking that minute here so that everyone is present here, I would ask Hannah to post the guest book again in the chat. So dear guests, you will now hear 3 speakers come on, and then after that, the GE will conduct the evaluations with 3 evaluators, and then a panel discussion on what critical thinking is all about. And especially the panel discussion will be very, very useful, not only for our speakers today and the evaluators, but for our Toastmasters who are members here, and especially you guests who are here and you're watching Leadership Speak in action as to why we exist and what are we really doing in an advanced club. And you may want to sort of become a member after that. If you wish, by all means, please let us know. So Hannah, Is the guest book being posted?
Yes,
Thank you, Hannah. Much appreciated. Okay, so our first speaker, and our first speaker is going to be Atul Sankar. Atul, are you there? And if you can put on your video. Hi, Atul. How are you feeling? I know you had flu a couple of days ago. You feeling okay now?
Hi, Brahm. Yes, a bit flu, but recovering fast. Yeah.
Good, good. I'm so glad that you are here and you were able to attend. I was wondering whether you'd be out of that flu and be able to attend. So thank you for
Yes.
being here. And you're in Dar es Salaam, I believe.
Yes, Brahm. I mean, that's not.
Good, good. Okay. All right. So you are going to be speaking from planning and implementation, leadership development. In this particular training, usually we call the evaluator as well to to tell us the objectives of the speaker. But being in a training, we want to move a little bit faster. We won't call the evaluator to mention what they are evaluating about, because we have a panel discussion at the end, so that's fine. So you're now speaking from leadership development, level 3, planning and implementing, right? And your speech title is an event to remember. And it's
Yes,
like
Brahm.
7 minutes. Okay. All right. Atul Sankar, an event to remember. An event to remember. Atul Sankar.
And even to remember that I will conclude by saying that good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I was selected as the lead of Tanzania to conduct an open house event by my area director. I was really tensed. I was really cautioned and fearful and confused with anxiety. How would I conduct this event, which I had no experience, which I had no thought, and the time was short? I had butterflies in my stomach. I had rats swallowed in me, and really questioned. I even told my area director that I can't do this. Why are you pressurizing me? She said, "You're the right person who can really do it, and I believe in you." I said, "I don't believe in myself." But she gave me the hope. She gave me the courage. And I asked for one thing: please, would you be my support if I do this? And support in all the ways wherever I find the difficulty. And she mentioned yes. With that yes, then I took the courage. Then I drafted a small plan. What is open house event? How do we conduct an open house event? And I was just questioning some of my friends from other countries who are Toastmasters and have conducted an open house event. And I really got to know some few things. I drafted them. And then later on, I just decided, I came with a plan. I made some WhatsApp groups, so that one WhatsApp group for um, all the executive committee heads of all clubs in Tanzania. And I came with a plan. We'll divide it into 3 groups. One will be the PR and marketing, which will be the main group. The other one was agenda. And the third one is coordination and planning. And then I requested my fellow Toastmasters and my colleagues to head these 3 teams, and so that we could have a successful and the best open house event in Dar es Salaam. But I was really tensed back of my mind. I was really astonished and feeling anxiety always. Will it be done, or can it be a failure, or will it be a failure? And my mind with fear was always telling, you will be a failure. But always I try to push myself that no, I'll overcome my fear and I will do this event with a great success. And again, I came up with my team, and we made our PR, we did our poster, and we did a write-up. But we shared But then I felt nobody was coordinating, nobody was really, there was no registrations happening, and nothing was moving on. And still, I had lost my courage. But back of my mind, I was pushing that I have to do it. I don't know, my area director has delegated. And I believe whenever I take an event, I don't want to let it down, or I push it until it is done, or else my name and the promise which I made would go. But slowly, slowly, I came to know and learn, and then coordinated with the people and calling one to one, and then pushing all the clubs in Tanzania for making sure they're attending and pushing their members in the clubs for the open house. And I had to come. We came up with multiple posters, and we wanted the MC who could really run the show. We had a senior Toastmasters in our club. So then, step by step, whenever I had doubts, I used to call my seniors, my area director, and so that to learn and make it happen. And we chose the venue, we chose an event place and how it should be structured. And step by step, uh, things came through, and the confidence also grew. But the registrations were not happening. That really blew my mind. The registrations were not registering, and we were like, we had a very small support of budget from our district, and we had to make sure the event should be successful with a lot of people, and we could not find many registrations. So I made sure the agenda was done, the agenda and the planning is done, and everything is done at the back end, and just focusing on PR and marketing. I thought the more marketing and the more awareness we do, the registrations we can get. So we made sure all of our team on the core team, we focus on marketing and the PR and making different videos, different posters that could really help us to push the event and get the registrations. Even a week before the event, the registrations were just 20 and not many. But I never lost hope, and I pushed myself, and my whole team supported in that way. And then we ended up with colors, with 100 and plus registrations, and it was a very grand, successful event. And the event planning, coordination, and the event how it was conducted went very well. I learned few lessons from this event. Always jump and now think. Second is be resilient. Third is be patient. Fourth is emotional intelligence. And fifth is try but don't give up. My dear friends and fellow Toastmasters, I would conclude and say a call to action. Goal without a plan is just a wish. And I repeat, goal without a plan is just a wish. So try to plan your day and see how it looks. Thank you. Hands to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Atul. An area contest. And it's always tricky when you're a new member or newer member and you're told to sort of, somebody pushes you, right? It's because they see a potential in you. And then you are, of course, always doubting yourself and so on. And then you're able to do. Yes, we've all been new Toastmasters where we've been told to do things, and we've been surprised how we succeed. Thank you, Atul. Our next speaker. Let's have our next speaker. And if you can please spotlight me, that'll be great. And oh yeah, I'm spotlighted, that's fine. And our next speaker is going to be Luciano Joao. And Luciano is from Angola. Hi, Luciano, how are you?
I'm doing good, Brahm. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. And how's Angola? Is it hot there?
It's very hot. Very, very hot.
We are compensating for you, -5 or so here. So
Yes.
so what is hot for you over there? Anyways, what's the temperature?
So the temperature, I believe it's around 32 to 33 degrees Celsius.
Great. That is hot. Now, today you're going to be speaking from Leadership Development, Level 3, Project 9. Connect with your audience, right?
Yes.
Wow. A great choice for this particular critical thinking workshop. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's Luciano Joao from Angola. Luciano Joao, option, Luciano Joao. Over to you.
Thank you. The oil and gas industry makes about $2.8 billion of pure profit every single day. $2.8 billion of profit every single day. And according to International Finance, from the 1970 up to now, the oil and gas industry has made about $52 trillion of pure profit. I work in an LNG company. The LNG company that I work for was created in order to reduce flaring. Flaring is the burning of gas offshore on the offshore platforms. Normally they produce oil and the gas, if they don't have any use for the gas, what they do is burn. And burning that contributes towards global warming. So the LNG installation that I work for in Angola has its main intent is to process that gas from the offshore installation so that we don't burn that gas. We're able to make profit out of that gas. Take the gas, make LNG, and make other products so that we can utilize that product and make more money for the country and for the people. Usually, when one works in the oil and gas industry, you work on rotation. You just spend 28 days or 42 days working, and then you go back home and you spend the same amount of time with your family. You only work half the year. It's challenging, but it's interesting. You get to know a lot of people. In the company that I work for, you may be around the installation and you have something like 7 to 14 nationalities. All these individuals coming together, working towards a common goal. What's that common goal? Produce energy. And at the end of the day, not just energy, but make a living, earn money so that we can sustain our families. And in that process, you have options. What are those options? For instance, in the company that I work for, we produce from the gas that we get it from offshore, we produce LNG. That's product number one, LNG. Condensate that's made that used to make gasoline in order to put in our cars. Then we have butane, that we use, the gas that we use for cooking, and then we have propane. Also, all these products, we sell it at the end of the day. But from these 4 products, there's an option that we have to choose. Depending on the price in the market for all those 3 products, we focus more on producing that highest value product. For instance, right now, the LNG, its price, it's high. So we focus on producing more LNG because we know that that's the product that gives us the more money. And that's important because when we focus on that, we make more money. So that's an option that we do when we are working. However, when one speaks about the oil and gas industry, it's not just about the products that you produce. The methane, the LNG, the propane, the butane, the condensate. It's not that. It's more. It's about the people that make those products. Because there are a lot of people that work in order to make those products. So it becomes, at the end of the day, when you work with individuals, you work with, as I said before, 17, you can get up to 17 different nationalities. You spend more time with your colleagues at work than you spend with your family. And there are multiple things that you can do while you're working. And you also have option. You can either just focus on the work, which sometimes it gets boring, but you can also choose an option and focus in knowing the people that you're working with. Because if you spend a lot of time with these individuals, more time than what you spend with your family, it does add value when you can connect with them, when you can understand them, because that builds up on your relationship with them. At the end of the day, you build connections when you are able to understand the person. That's an option, because you can either choose just work with the individual, produce the energy products, or you get to understand, get to know the person. And that makes a difference, and that adds value to that person, to yourself also, and improves your productivity at work. That's extremely important. Let me tell you something that happened to me just the first month of January. I used to work for BP offshore, and there was a person that I worked with in 2015. And after 2016, his visa expired, he left. He was from the Philippines. And something quite interesting happened. When I was driving down home to my house, I saw someone on the street and I recognized it was him. And I called him. I say, Danu, how are you doing? What are you doing here? Because I haven't seen him in 10 years. Then we managed to get some time where we had drinks and we were able to talk. And there's something that he told me that it moved me. It made a lot of sense. He said, whenever you're working, always do your best and be fair with everyone. Because at the end of the day, that will give you results, and that will open opportunities for you. And he told me, like, I'm back in Angola because while I was working, I was good in my job and I was fair with everyone. And that gave me the opportunity where people called me and say, Dano, we have a job for you. So in life, there are options in everything you do. Just focus on the right option that will add value to you and the people around you. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Amazing. Working on an oil and gas platform, LNG, 28 days onshore, 28 days offshore. So what a life. Amazing. So 6 months of the year, every other month you are home, and then every other month you are on the platform. Great eye opener as to how the oil and gas industry works. Thank you very much, Luciano. We'll give everyone else, of course, a little bit of time to sort of put on their thoughts. And while they are doing that, I will call on our next speaker, Nikita Winkler. Nikita, how are you?
I'm so nervous. You put a lot of pressure. I feel the pressure, Brahm.
You still feel the pressure? Okay,
I
just
still, I don't.
let's breathe it
I've been
together.
dancing in my space, breathing, grounding. I still feel the pressure.
All right. Okay. Well, so all right. So that's what it is. It's nothing to do with you. It's your background survival brain trying to say, oh, I have to be looking good, right? So that's what it is. It's kicking in, and that's all right. Sometimes it does. So let's just breathe, take a little bit of time. And I see that, you told me your speech title this morning, and I'm really looking forward to it. A reason for every season.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. And of course, by the way, you are in Spain right now, right?
I'm in Spain. It's cold. It's colder than it's been. So we are in the 7 degrees at night. But when the sun is shining, everything is good. Right now, the sun is shining.
So do you say it rains mainly on the plains in Spain or something like that? This from Pygmalion, George Bernard Shaw, My Fair Lady. Okay, Anyways,
No comment.
that's okay. That's okay. I'm just trying to sort
It
of.
does not rain much in Tarragona, I can say that, yes.
I'm trying to buy you time so you can settle
I'm
down a
good.
bit.
I've settled down. Thank you. I can talk about
Wonderful.
why there's a season. There's a
Yeah.
season for a reason.
Wonderful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Nikita Winkler is speaking from Presentation Mastery, Level 4, third speech, Building a Social Media Presence. Nikita Winkler, there's a reason for every season. There's a reason for every season, Nikita Winkler.
It's not very common to talk about seasons when we speak about social media, but everything in life is seasonal. Everything has its cycle of growth, decay, and rebirth. And our social media profiles are an extension of ourselves. We as humans are not machines. We don't run on automation, and we have to honor these cycles, because if we don't, it leads to burnout, a decrease in creativity, a reduction in productivity, disconnection with yourself, disconnection with your purpose and the intention for why you are on social media. This happened to me. This happened to me in the span of about 3 years, during a transition from the old me into the now me. And during those 3 years, I did not respect my winter. I did not respect the fact that I had to take time to retreat and to simply observe and listen and realign with new strategies, with my new identity. Why is this important? Because for me, it's difficult to be consistent. I am a menstruating woman, and I say that because I have cycles every month that changes my mood. But also, we all have cycles every single day. Our spring in the morning when we wake up with lots of energy. Well, maybe some of us. I'm not sure if everyone wakes up in the morning with lots of energy. And winter when we go to sleep. So when I'm speaking about seasons right now, it's not just referring to the climate. I am referring to all seasons of life. This reconnecting with my inner seasons has helped me to understand how I could build consistency with my social media presence. Let's go through these seasons. Spring. Spring is all about energy, new life, new energy. When you feel like you are in your spring, it's so important to capture all those creative sparks. Capture everything. Don't let anything go to waste, because everything you capture in your spring has to outlive the winter. With that said, all your ideas, document them, film, record, write, create your brand identity, create all your posters on Canva. This is a time when you have energy. So I'm learning to maximize on that energy to get all the content in one place and even out there. Get as much content to test your ideas on social media and to be present with all that energy that you have. And then in the summer, when we come to the summer season, you are bearing the fruits of the spring. So in the summer, it's a time to just serve on the momentum and to get deeper into the connections that you have, the connections and the audience that you've generated in your spring. So summer is a time to connect with your audience with conversations, commenting on posts, getting deeper into those connections. Then there is the autumn. For me, autumn is like, is just windy. It's so windy that if I don't root myself in intention for why I am on social media, then what happens in the autumn is that the wind disperses me. My energy starts to feel dispersed. I think we can all relate to perhaps how that feels. You spend time aimlessly, without intention on social media, basically wasting time. So it's easy at this point when your aligning is fading out, to spend your time on social media without being very intentional. So in the autumn, one, be intentional, but two, remember winter is around the corner. So the autumn for me is a time to prepare for the winter, knowing that what's coming is that I need to retreat, that I won't have energy to be on social media. So this is when I apply the automation tools that social media provides. Automating my posts for the winter, because in the winter, it's a time for me to retreat, observe what I have achieved, observe what works, what doesn't work. It's a time to rest and realign. It's a time to set back so that you can prepare for a stronger comeback. So thinking about seasons and moving and honoring my inner seasons has really helped me to understand how I can set myself up to be more consistent on social media. As we move through these natural cycles and seasons, it doesn't just build consistency, it helps us to build alignment. And alignment, when you are aligned, you have a presence that is authentic, that has purpose and energy. So wherever you are in your journey, perhaps you've never thought about it, reflected on it, I invite you to ask yourself, in my life, what season am I going through right now? If you're a woman that's menstruating, what season are you going through right now? In your work, what season are you going through right now? And then align that, because growth requires trial and error, but consistency demands alignment, and renewal always starts with reflection. Thank you.
I'm just writing my notes. Just give me a second. Great conclusion. Thank you. I'm just writing my final note. Thank you very much, Nikita. And I really love the speech for one reason. I mean, you excel, of course, or not, that your evaluator will say, but I loved it because I am in the winter of my social media. You'll see very little posts from me on social media these days as compared to how prolific I've been before, because I'm regrouping right now. So thank you. And that really puts a good light on the different seasons that I have been through. That was an eye-opener for me. And I've been on social media for a very long time. Thank you, Nikita. All right, ladies and gentlemen. With that, I will now ask, we only have 3 speakers and they've all done their presentations. I will ask Jyoti Thomas, our timer, to put the timing in the chat for us. Jyoti?
Already done, Brahm. Posted.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I would like to now introduce to you the General Evaluator, Vinod Panicker. You can spotlight Vinod for me. That'll be good. Mr. Zoom Master.
Hi,
Vinod,
Brahm.
how are you?
Amazing. Doing great.
Now, what city are you? You are in UAE. What city in UAE are you in?
In Dubai.
Oh, you're actually in Dubai, the big
Yes.
Dubai, the big malls, the big shopping, the tall buildings, right? Amazing. And I've never been to Dubai, but Hannah has been to Dubai, right? She came and visited you.
Yeah, we had dinner together and it was a good time.
What's the weather like over in Dubai?
It's very pleasant. It's 20 degrees.
Oh, well, that's not bad at all. I think you
Yeah.
are well. That's because you're in the northern hemisphere. Okay, over to
Yes,
you,
for 2 more
Vinod, and
months.
take us to the G, and then we'll gather together for the panel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, our trainer and Toastmasters of the day. Uh, General evaluation, feedback, feed forward, whatever name or critical thinking, whatever name we want to give this, all this comes or is going to personal growth and learning. So let's continue the journey of critical thinking and personal growth. So the way I am going to go through is I will be calling on the evaluators, the toast, the first for the toast, then for the three speakers. Usually after every speech, I would make what my observation was about the evaluator. In this meeting, I will not be doing that because we will be having a panel discussion after this one. I will be only speaking about the toast. So let's call upon the most beautiful person in our club, Toastmaster Hannah, to evaluate our toast. Toastmaster Hannah, the screen is all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator, John, and all our guests. I think we peaked 65 already, so it must be an awesome session. Thank you very much. John, drinking lemon water is often hailed as a powerful health ritual we do swear by. Yet you put on your critical thinking cap, not just to challenge the notion, but to determine whether it's more than a myth, a fabrication, or simply a story we are expected to believe, and yet most of all believe it as truth. To make us think, reflect, and rise above the ordinary, this triad, when used with purpose, holds the potential to create a powerful impact. And you did that. It had a powerful impact with me. With a bit more emphasis, it could elevate to our perspectives even further. Put a bit more emphasis, put a bit more enthusiasm into your speech. It was a bit monotonous for me. As your toast wisely reminds us, critical thinking urges us to pause, to reflect, and to decide with intention. Another potent principle to live by. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for
very
that
much, Hannah.
impact. I'm not quite finished yet. Thank you for that impactful toast, an invitation to think boldly, act wisely, and inspire us to follow suit. Your energy and compassion lit the way, showing how the speaker evaluator partnership can drive through growth and transformation. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Hannah. And one thing I would really appreciate, the speaker and evaluator partnership was very visible in this because you also came on Thursday and practiced. So that was very visible over here in this meeting. From my side, just one suggestion: when you mentioned about you should have emphasis or you should show more enthusiasm, and there was a monotone, where it was and how he can do that, that explanation would have been better. You could have taken something from the speech and you could have said this was the place where you could have put all the energy. But other than that, I felt it was a decent evaluation. For me, what critical thinking means, it's a careful application of a reason in determining whether a claim is true, and that was done in a very nice way. Thank you very much, Hannah, for that. So let's call upon our first evaluator for the speaker, Toastmaster Atul. Toastmaster Nthati. Toastmaster Nthati, who is the evaluator for Toastmaster Atul. Unmute yourself. Yes. The screen is yours, Nthati.
A goal without a plan is just a wish. Try to plan your day and see how it looks. Mr. General Evaluator, that was the conclusion of Toastmaster Atul. Toastmaster Atul, the speech purpose was for him to share some aspects of planning and implementing his small-scale project. He explained that he established 3 teams with 3 different roles, with being the PR team being the main team. He indicated, though, that he had no experience of event planning and requested the director to assist. And this he demonstrated through a dialogue between himself and the director. However, it was monotonous. You could have done differently. Yes, you can, because it's 2 different people that would have grabbed our attention. The dialogue could have been more effective if the Toastmaster had also demonstrated it when he identified the role players of his team. The title of the speech was An Event to Remember. I so much awaited to see, to feel, and maybe to hear this event to remember. But I waited in vain. There hasn't been much link between the title, the introduction, and the conclusion of the speak to demonstrate critical thinking. An event to remember. When you were planning, you could have outlined the various stages of project planning and what was happening during the project planning, the resources more than over and above the human resource that were referred to, which we could not get how many role players per team that were there. And also on implementation, there hasn't been any indication of what happened during the implementation and the risk management that was applied, as well as the evaluation post-implementation project. We don't know how many members ended up joining. In summary, it's a good attempt. Toastmaster, keep on learning. I propose that you avoid the monotony, the unpleasant pleasantries, as well as the project planning steps should be demonstrated, and the title should link up with the introduction, the body, and be tied up at the conclusion. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nthati. We'll be asking more questions during the panel discussion. Let's move on to our next evaluator, Toastmaster Guerdah, who would be evaluating Toastmaster Luciano. Toastmaster Guerdah.
Thank you,
Yes.
General Evaluator. Options. That was the title of Luciano's speech. And when he ended, he said, in life, there are options in everything you do. I felt that, yes, options, because that was the title. And in the end, he came back to it. I also felt that all through his speech, he did talk about options. Options in terms of when he was telling us about the oil and gas, the different options such as propane, butane, and we heard this. That was great. He told us about the story about how to connect with his colleagues, which also was great. And he gives us an anecdote, a personal anecdote, which was also great. For me, this is where I had questions because Luciano was speaking about a subject that is not very familiar to the audience. When speaking about a subject that is not too familiar with an audience, one recommendation is to give parallels so that I can take, as the audience, I can take some examples in my own life and then connect it to the subject in question. Because I can say that in the first part of your presentation, I was a little bit lost because I kept asking myself, what is LNG? LNG, what does that mean? And I even had to Google it in order for me to understand what that means. So LNG, liquefied natural gas. Right there, by saying this, you put our mind at ease, because this is what we do as human beings. When we don't know something, we tend to make it up. You had asked me to notice or observe whether or not you connect very well with the audience. You have a very soft-speaking voice. And I even wondered, is that the voice that you use when you work with your colleagues in the oil and gas? So perhaps your voice needs to be a little bit up and also more intonations. You had asked me to also check on your movements. Your hands tend to disappear. So I would say in conclusion, it was great that you talked about that speech. Bring more parallels, use more intonations, pay attention to your hands. But what I like the most is that your title and your conclusion came together in the end. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Guerdah. Now we will be moving to our third evaluator, who would be evaluating Toastmaster Nikita, Toastmaster Nzinga. Toastmaster, yes. Zoom Master, please spotlight our evaluator. Yes, I can see her and I heard her, so the screen is all yours.
Nikita, there is a reason for every season. The title of your speech and the conclusion of your speech were very effective, because when you asked us to consider what season are we going through, make sure we understand that so we could act consistently and align with the season we are going through, it resonates. It wraps up beautifully your opening, the title and your opening. You are also effective weaving the reason to consider every season by explaining what spring, summer, autumn, and winter mean to you. Your personal examples, particularly when you made a point of saying, maybe not everybody is a morning person, so maybe spring is not for you. It was a clear point, a clear statement that you are talking about you, not about the scientific research. But we are related to your examples. You asked me to pay attention to that. You wanted to relate and to connect with the audience. You did that, and the post in the chat confirmed that. You also asked me to pay attention on how naturally you would deliver your speech. You want it to be intentional without losing the naturality. I liked when mentioning autumn, windy, and while replicating and doing that, I think it's a dance move because I cannot move like that. You look very natural. You look very at ease with your hymn. You wanted to inspire the audience to consider new perspectives on how to use and come across in social media to be consistent. And you did that, you provide a different perspective. What I would suggest is the following. You talked about the old and the new you. Why not tell us a bit more about that? Maybe the old you use different social media platforms while the new you use less, or maybe the same in a different way, where you could provide an examples of your footprint in different types of social media platforms. Also, you mentioned about using automation in winter. I was puzzled by that. Maybe another speech to tell us about using automation, or maybe weaving that into your speech. All in all, great tie between title, the body, and your conclusion. Your inspirational call to action to consider which season are we going through to act consistently in social media. Back to you, Vinod.
Thank you very much, Nzinga, for that. And with that, we would be concluding the evaluation section over here. I would request our timer, Toastmaster Jyoti, to please put the timings of all our evaluator. Yes, and she has already done. She is today running like an express train. Before we can say anything, it is there. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jyoti, for that quick work. And I believe, do we have voting for the best speaker evaluator today?
No, we don't.
Okay, because of the training, just for the information of the guests, usually we will have voting for the best speaker and the best evaluator. Just because today is a special session, we are skipping that. So all our speakers and evaluators, you are the best. Thank you very much for that. And for me, let me go through my report quickly. Then we will go for the panel discussion. So the meeting started dot on time. That has been a culture with Leadership Speak. And I truly admire our Surgeon at Arms, Toastmaster Aries. 1 minute before he came and he said that the meeting will start in a minute, and dot 5:30, the meeting started. Before that, Francis was welcoming everyone, whoever was there. And if she missed someone, like Dinesh said something and she could not reply, after some time, she acknowledged the presence of Dinesh and asked, "What were you saying?" So that was very well done. So this is something which has been done traditionally. Before this meeting, we had a practice meeting on Thursday, and I could see like the members were practicing over there. So that's a very good sign. We are seeing that the practice meetings, people are coming, our members are coming and doing the practice. One suggestion for Toastmaster Aries, you are a very passionate speaker. I can see in you that you want to speak. But when you are a surgeon at arms and opening the meeting, smile. And you have an amazing, like what you say, vocabulary, you are speaking nicely. Just smile and relax when you're opening the meeting, because the timing was 2 minutes for the surgeon at arms. You took 4.5 minutes because you got a little bit motivated to say a lot of things. You mentioned the Toastmaster mission, you mentioned the Leadership Speak mission, and you did introduce the Toastmaster of the day also. But every role is defined with a time. So let's practice. That is why we keep these meetings on Thursday, so that we keep on practicing and we don't go overboard. But I really like, and I'm looking forward for your speeches and longer speeches, because I can see that in you. The training session, of course, our trainer, our founder, Brahm, reviewed us, took us like a revision all through that. For the members, for the guests who are coming for the first time, we have been doing this regularly. So that was the reason why Toastmaster Brahm did not go much in detail. It was more of a revision, and this was given to all the speakers and evaluators in advance so that we can go through that and construct our ideas based on this critical thinking. The evaluation, the timer, of course, Toastmaster Jyoti took it in the last moment yesterday. Our timer backed out, and today, let's, like, what is going to give a big round of applause to Toastmaster Jyoti, because even before we are saying anything, she's like putting this done. My job is done. Let me see what is happening in the meeting. So overall, the meeting, I felt till now, it has been good as per our leadership speak standard. Now let's go ahead and do the panel evaluation. I hope I have not missed. Yeah, to our Zoom master. Our Zoom master is doing the role for the first time, I believe. Please give a big round of applause. I believe it's Toastmaster Irene who is doing the Zoom master's role, and she was also there for the practice session. A big round of applause for our Zoom master also. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Irene, for taking up this role. We need more and more Zoom masters in every meeting. So now let's call upon first the trainer, and then let the trainer decide what to do. Here is Toastmaster Brahm.
Hey, Vinod, thank you very much. So, Vinod, I did realize when you asked me at the training meeting who's the moderator, and at the time I wasn't really thinking things through clearly. And then just before this meeting, it clicked. So you are the moderator. You go ahead. You set the pace. You're the right person for that. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Brahm. So let me call, what I will be doing is, I'll be calling the partners in crime today together, the speaker and the evaluator, and each speaker and evaluator, the pair will be coming, and we will be asking them questions and taking them, looking for their answers of how they prepared and what all they did. So the first pair is Toastmaster Atul and Toastmaster Nthati. Toastmaster Atul and Toastmaster Nthati. Yes. So I will be direct and quick. Toastmaster Nthati, before going into anything, into critical evaluation and all these things, you had mentioned something very pointed, that event to remember. That title was wasted in vain, right? And I like what you say, something I wanted to want you to elaborate what it was. You heard me, Toastmaster Nthati?
I couldn't get you clearly. You were saying I must indicate what the event to remember was.
Yes. Why did you pick on that, where, like what you say, wasted in vain? You mentioned that particular title, and like what you say, that was wasted. So that was not repeated somewhere. Elaborate it a little bit for us.
Okay, what I said was that when the title read An Event to Remember, I was looking forward to feel the event that is memorable, but I could not get that feel, and I could not hear the details of this memorable event. And remember, it is about the audience. I am the audience, and everyone else is the audience. Was looking forward to get this event to remember and be part of that event. Thank you.
Thank you for that, because that is something which was mentioned in the critical thinking workshop also. The title, the conclusion, and how are you developing that? So you had highlighted that, right? So Atul, when you were creating this speech, smile Atul, you did an amazing job. You conducted an event and you gave us an experience for that, right? So what was going through your mind? Like, what were you thinking? Who is my audience? Leadership speak, right? So when you were thinking of drafting this speech, did you think that I am giving this to a club? where there are members who may have 10 years, 15 years experience in Toastmasters, and what value will this speech bring to them? Did that thought process occur in your mind? I am leading, it's a leading question. Actually, I should not ask it, but I just want to, like what you said, know about that thinking.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Vinod. Yes, thank you, even Nthati, for that question. So, what I thought was an event to remember, because I just wanted to mention the event which I really conducted. That was the open house event, which I mentioned, and what values and what learnings did I get through that event? Because I could not, I think, for the shortage of time, I could not explain the whole event, and I wanted to conclude by what values and what learning curve did I get through that event, and that would be. We are learning, and end to statement, a goal without a plan is just a wish, was a takeaway lesson, is what I thought would be for the audience.
Thank you. Brahm, your view on this?
Well, thank you. So, you know, because I'm the trainer, my views may be a little bit more pushing you forward, right? A bit more than what you might have thought of here. And that is this, you know, when the evaluator comes on, you know, and how they begin to evaluate is an important thing. Is what is an evaluator doing? And sometimes I find, now I'm going away a little bit away from what your questions there, you know, I'm going through the thought process. What will the evaluator begin with, and how will they sort of set the pace for the speaker to get to the next level? Whatever that next level is for the speaker, how are they going to take them to that place? And so how am I going to craft my evaluation? How did I listen? How did I really observe? And what does this really mean? Based on that, what I heard, Nthati, was that most of your evaluation was about what you didn't like about the presentation rather than where did he excel? Remember, there are three things, right, for an evaluation. Where did you excel? And where could you improve, and where you could do better and at excelling? And what did I get out of this particular presentation? What was my takeaway, right, based on the presentation? And therefore, you are representing the audience. What is the audience's takeaway, right? So these are the structures of an evaluator at an advanced club, is where the speaker excelled, where they could possibly do better to take them to the next level. What was the conclusion? And then what was I informed, influenced, inspired, and all that. So we didn't hear any of that in that structure, right? I won't go further. I have lots of comments. We have 13 minutes. By the way, timer, you know, it's each panel is 13 minutes, right? Yeah, you got that. So over to you, Vinod, and I'll add some more as we go along.
Thank you. I was just setting the next 10 minutes. I wanted to take for the first 3 minutes to create a base. So you mentioned over here for the evaluator to highlight what the speaker was excellent at. Nthati, you have the opportunity now. Tell me or tell us
Okay.
what you felt Atul really excelled at.
Okay. No, thank you very much. I indicated that the speaker was effective in identifying the resources that were necessary, the personnel, where he established 3 teams, with the main team being the PR and marketing team. And also, where his speech was motivational, because he was motivating us to not to give up, to be resilient and emotionally intelligent, and always jump on given a task.
So, Nthati, I will, like what you said, ask one thing. When you say the speech was motivational, right? So, which part of the speech you felt motivated, right? I mean, like there is, I will give just a context. There is a book called as Storyworthy, where the author says every story has a 5-second moment. So basically, you're saying that there was a moment in a speech where you got motivated. Where exactly you were motivated in the speech?
When he said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. try to plan your day and see how it looks. Yes.
Thank you. That was the takeaway message also.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll come to Atul for this. Atul.
Yes.
So I think some famous speaker once said there are always three versions of a speech. One we wish to give, one we prepare to give, and one we actually give. And you went through all those three. Learning from that, if you have to give this speech once again, what will you change in this speech?
Maybe as Toastmaster Nthati has told, maybe I would like giving a better conclusion about the event, as the event was to be focused and not focusing on the values. What I got much onto it and focusing on the event, but yeah, this is how I structure it more properly with the introduction, with introduction, with the speech and the conclusion, and integrate all of it with a flow, so that would really and have the values at the end. Yeah. Thank you.
So you learned so many things, Atul, today in just like what you say, one evaluation. So now I will request our trainer to add more light on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me just have a quick look at my notes here. Before I do though, Madam Timer, Jyoti, if you can put up your hand, because you've disappeared off from my panel. If you can put up your hand so we can see you back up there. Jyoti, thank you. So while you're doing that, this particular speech, what I heard, of course, is Atul's experience as a Toastmaster when when he was told to conduct an area. To put together the area contest. And, when you've never done such an event, we heard, and where he really excelled at was to tell us, how he felt scared and then how he was supported and so on. So that part of the story, like we can all relate to that. We were Toastmasters once. I was a Toastmaster once 28 years ago, and I was told to be in an evaluation contest because nobody else raised their hand. It was a community club, but pretty advanced in their speaking. And I said, I just to try out. And I really bombed. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life, because in those days I didn't know that I had to put on my learning hat and not be embarrassed and just learn, right? But so that, is so, there, right, for us as to what we go through when we first begin to speak and all that. And in a community club where he began, I got that. He excelled at those sort of things, right? And so on. Now, and as Atul has acknowledged, and I believe Nthati has also pointed it out, the conclusion was missing in terms of how well it was concluded. You see, the conclusion was, I think, just merely one line: try to plan your day, something like that, if I can remember. So, you could, it's always about the audience. And that one line is not about the audience, it's just, a command for the audience. When it's about the audience, you will spend a bit more time with the audience. So like when you were first a Toastmaster, when you first took on a project in your organization or whatever, right? And you wanted to excel and all that. So what did you go through? And did you go through those steps? So now you are talking to the audience about how you're experiencing, how they're experiencing, and how they could then become better. Get a mentor. You got mentors. You got some senior members around you. You are directed. They supported you. So tell them, get support, get mentored. And don't worry. As you go along, sometimes the results don't come, and then suddenly everything falls together. We had only 20 members, then we had over 100 within that last week. And so that's where you are beginning now to really inspire the audience to not to worry, to get support and all that. See how you can now craft that same message, but how you can recraft it into an inspiring message. See that, Nthati, right? From just being motivated at a certain point, he could have recrafted that and made it an inspirational speech by how he put the end together and spent at least 45 seconds or a minute for the audience. Always spend time for the audience, and how your story then can be used for the audience. So that's how in overall the whole thing, that's my point of view. Over to you, Vinod. What do you think?
Thank you, Brahm. Yes, that was a valuable suggestion. One more question I would like to ask you, then I will go to Nthati. They say that you do not write your speech, you rewrite your speech, or don't use scissor, use an axe, or cut all the fluff. So if you have to
Yes.
give suggestion to cut the fluff, which part you will cut? And I will give you just one thing which I felt there was too much. When you said you had 5 lessons to learn from an event, you jump in when you get be resilient, emotional intelligence, never give up, and one more was there, right? So any one could have been a story. So what do you feel, Brahm? According to you, if you want to tell Atul to cut the fluff, which part in the same speech he should keep, according to you, and according to Nthati also, I will come and develop it.
So wonderful. Instead of, because I didn't write extensive notes here, and you are quite right. There was stuff in there that didn't need to be mentioned. So what I'll say is what you should really keep in the speech, so that whatever you said, Atul, then the rest of it you could discard, is basically this. You know, when you open your speech, and very first thing you could have said is, you know, there was an open house, and I was elected by the area director to sort of be take on the contest, right, or the open house, whatever that was, and talk about the butterflies and so on, right, and then just go into, you know, how you wanted the vision, what the vision you was, how you set up the vision, but there was anxiety and anxiety of failure and so on, right? Then mention about, of course, you had support, and how you got supported by your team and so on, and how it came together. So those are the main things, and then spend time on the audience's takeaway, which is for about a minute. So there's a lot of stuff that Vinod has mentioned. I'm not a great note taker, that were there, now that I remember, that could have been missed out because they were not necessary to this. This is your own personal story, so you don't have to have philosophy in it or the psychology behind all that stuff, right? So spend time on your own story and experience. So it could be either about the psychology or your story. So it should be based only on your story rather than the emotional intelligence and all that stuff.
Thank you, Brahm. And I think I can see the red light. So now I understood 13 minutes go very fast. So I have to be a little bit more quicker. Nthati, you can give any other suggestion that you have on WhatsApp group. I will summarize this discussion. Based on the critical thinking, we looked at the opening, body, closing, the conclusion, call to action. The speech type was motivational. It was mentioned by our evaluator Nthati. The two things which I wanted to focus on was show, don't tell. Because when you say anxious, you can actually, we are on the screen, you can show a night before that you were not able to sleep or something in that way that, like what you said, we feel that you were anxious. And Brahm pointed out something very nice, from 20 to 100 registration, right? So that itself is a big achievement. So we wanted to feel that, oh, I did this. That feeling itself would have been amazing, because if you are giving this speech to a non-Toastmasters audience, what value will they get? So what is the generic value is you were put in a situation, you took up the challenge and you went through anxiety, everything, but you planned it in a good way and you came up with a successful event. Basically, that is a thread, right? For a non-Toastmaster audience or for any other club. So it has an amazing potential. You got amazing feedback from Toastmaster Nthati. I like evaluators who point out more point of improvement. That is where we learn and grow, and of course our trainer. So thank you very much, Toastmaster Nthati and Toastmaster Atul, for your partnership and helping each other. Thank you very much. Now, Zoom Master, yes, let's give a big round of applause. Let's call upon our second pair. That is Toastmaster Guerdah and Toastmaster Luciano. Toastmaster Guerdah and Toastmaster where leaders are made. Yes. And okay, thank you. So to the point, Toastmaster Guerdah, you mentioned something that you didn't understand and it could have been made more easy. Even though I had the idea of LNG, liquid and gas, but when you Googled, you gave the right word. Thank you for that, about that. So what was your takeaway as an evaluator?
My takeaway was that Luciano is well versed in his line of work, that he was talking about options, and throughout his speech, he did mention different options. So for example, when he talked about the gas, oil and gas, he also talked about the relationship at work. And then in the end, he told us that in life, there are options in everything we do. So my takeaway was definitely about options and the way that it displayed that for us.
And yeah,
for me, I was hesitating because I felt like his speech was a speech to inform, but it could also be a speech to motivate, because I was informed when it comes to gas, oil and gas. I don't know anything about that, but motivate when he talked about connection with the people that you work with.
that was the question that I was going to ask you. What was the type of speech? So you read my mind and you said inform. So, Luciano, what was your intention and what was the thought process when you were writing down this speech? What was it that you thought that leaderships, I am speaking in front of Leadership Speak Club members, and this is what needs to be shared with them, and this is the takeaway that they will take. What was your thinking when you were writing the speech?
Okay, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So, there were a couple before I start. So before there were the discussion that I had with Brahm on this. So main intent was to inform people about the oil and gas industry. So, but there are two aspects there. I can be very technical about it. I can be very simple about it. But however, there's always a point where you add that relationship, that connection option that brings the audience so that the audience can know, even though I'm speaking about oil and gas, you also have options when you have to choose. You have to maximize the products that you do, that you have, you produce. You can focus on one more that gives you more profit. But also on the other aspect is the relationship that you have when you work in the oil and gas industry. The relationships that you add at the end of the day, that will determine if you get a phone call down the line when you need a job. So that's what I was trying to transfer across, besides the technical aspect, but that personal aspect also. That's what I was transferring across. It's not easy to try to put that together, package that, but the main intent was to be informative, but I've managed to put in also the motivational part when I said, like, in every aspect in life, like, even though I'm in the oil and gas, then everybody in the audience knows that whatever they do, they have option. And the main intent was, whatever you do on your option, choose the option that you maximize the most. You can maximize the most. That was my
Thank
intention.
you. Thank you very much, Luciano, for that. And Brahm, I believe you must have really liked the speech. Unmute yourself. You're on mute, Brahm, please. Because you always keep on mentioning that give speeches that you can give in actual real life, real world. So when somebody is speaking about their work, it is something which they can actually speak at their work. It can develop. Like we say, if you want to, one of the purpose in leadership speak is also that speaking from free to fee. Right? We want to develop speakers who can actually charge. So, Luciano, think from that perspective that you can create a keynote speech out of this and charge. So, Brahm, your suggestion. How can you use critical thinking and develop this speech in a way where it can be received by any audience?
So, the very first thing I will say is I was confused with this speech. And I'll give you my reasons and so on as to why it was confusing. The title was Options. And then you began with oil and gas industry, $2.8 billion every day, 550 trillion or something, some number, right? I can't quite remember. It was about 50 trillion over the many years. Now, and the title was Option. So, of course, I was going to options. Is it about the stock market and the options on the oil and gas industry that I have to buy? Was the thought. So then you went into connections, really. So was the opening really relevant to the speech? No. You didn't have to, even if you didn't mention that, it was okay, right? Because how you ended was with this guy that you met 10 years later on the street and the connections you had formed, and you ran out of time there with that particular presentation, I mean, with that particular story, which means that story shouldn't have come at that time in that presentation. Where you excelled it is, of course, your storytelling, your colleagues, and the connections, and so on. So I am confused as to whether I was motivated, informed, or inspired, or influenced, or whatever. Or persuaded to connect with my fellow human beings at work, to connect and to create those, to get to know them. Now you spend also, the other anomaly was you spend 6 months off the platform and 6 months on each month. And you said you spend more time with your colleagues than your family. I think it's equal. It was 50-50 though, from what you said. So that was another anomalously. Okay. So those are the sort of things that overview I can go into a bit more later on. But that's what I feel is, Vinod, is that his last story was really the key factor in the whole presentation. And it should have come much, much earlier, where he met this his colleague 10 years later down the street, where near his neighborhood, would have been the key. And then he could have talked about the connections, and that you have an option. Do you want to connect with your fellow colleagues, and what sort of relationship you create, and why it is good for a human being to connect with other human beings. It's actually for our well-being, right? So over to you, Vinod.
Thank you. Yeah, so the opening, the statistics, it did grab the attention, but it was not relevant. So even though the opening did grab my attention, okay, what is he telling? 2.3 or whatever billion is there? Something, okay, something is coming next. But then it went to some other direction. So a lesson learned for me also, that just having a hook or attention grabbing opening is not best. Have critical thinking. It should be relevant. It needs to be linking to the message and the title. Thank you. Toastmaster Guerdah. I personally felt the ending was abrupt. It ended quickly. What do you think?
Well, for me, it didn't necessarily end abruptly, because I felt like I could follow him through his speech. What I felt was missing is that, because he talked about propane and he talked about butane. So because I don't know anything about that, I was waiting to understand what is the connection, what is the parallel. So for example, if you are saying, you give me the example of propane and you give me the example of butane. So give me a parallel, since we're talking about options and connections, that I would understand what does that mean in your story. And I did not get that parallel, because for me that was information. Oh, okay, you're talking about propane, butane. Okay, those are words that I've heard, but I don't know much about it. So how do they connect with the connections that you're talking about? But I felt that because you told us about connecting with your colleagues, and you also gave us the anecdote at the end, I was able to follow a little bit better. But the first part, I was like, okay, you're good at your job. You know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Guerdah. Okay, Brahm, if you suggest a rewrite of this speech. Okay, so we spoke about the opening, we spoke about the conclusion. The message Luciano has clearly mentioned, this was mainly about the relationship.
Yeah.
Keeping the title in mind, option, and the theme in mind, relationship. The same speech, what suggestion would you give?
Well, I would begin with, of course, its options. It's really an attention-grabbing title to begin with. Love it. So you could always begin with, you always have options in your life. And what are these options? And then you can, of course, go into the workplace and the connecting with your colleagues and so on, and why it's very, very important. It's for our well-being, and it's nothing to do with politics or collaboration or anything. Just when you're connected with the human beings, there's well-being, right? This is what we are here fundamentally for, is connection. So you could have said those sort of things and then go on to the story at the second or second and a half minute. You could have gone into the story, or even before, about that neighbor that you met and so on, and actually expound on that particular story and make it a bit longer, and the lessons you learned along the way. Yeah, wow. You know, you never know where you'll bump into people and the connections you've created and so on. So purely about connection, no butane, right, Guerdah? No butane, no gas, water, you know, the fuel for the car, the gas, the gasoline and the butane and all that stuff, and the 20 billion and the 2 billion and the 50 trillion, and not necessary. That was an entirely different speech. There's 2 or 3 speeches in this particular speech, right? So that's how I would reframe and rephrase the whole thing. Also, I would let me go back to Atul. Atul had a great Zoom presence. He stood up, lighting was great on his face and all that, moved around. Luciano, you were sitting, right? And let's not miss that out, that you were sitting, and we are required, especially a leadership speak, to stand up and speak. Of course, in the end, it's your option. It's your option what you really want to do. That's a strong recommendation, let's put it this way, of standing up and speaking. All right. And
Thank
as well
you.
for Guerdah here is, you know, she said, she mentioned the word you were great at, and several times she mentioned which was great. She said something rather than it should be you excelled at this particular point, and this is where you could excel better. Use the word excel rather than you were great or I loved it or wow. You know, those are the things that we use in.
That was my crutch word.
That's it. All right.
Yes.
Okay, over to you, Vinod.
Thank you, Brahm. Actually, my next question was about screen presence, but you answered that. Thank you very much for that. And what you excelled at, your opening, your closing, your message. So now it's in front of you, that keep relationship at the center. What I personally felt was 6 months you work onshore and 6 months offshore, right? Normal people don't do that. It's a huge thing. Like that should have come out as an emotion. Like people should think, oh my God, how can I stay away from 6 months from my family? And then when you talk about relationship, I feel that would have been impactful. So you have an amazing story. So the attention grabbing opening, make it relevant. The closing, as per like what you say, you have that powerful story, bring it a little bit in between, or start with that, and looking forward for more speeches. Thank you very much, Toastmaster.
Oh, you know
Guerdah.
what? Before you go, you know, just because of what you said, it just struck me as well. You know, actually,
Please.
they spend 1 month on the platform and 1 month at home, back home. So when they are away on the platform for that 1 month, and this is all about connection, do they miss your family? And how do you miss your family? How do you connect with your family while you're 1 month on the platform, right? If you're at work, you go every day back home in the evening anyways to your family. But here, 1 month. So I would have liked to hear more about that as part of your option, right? Relationships. Okay, over to you. Thanks. That was a last minute idea that just struck me.
Thank
You could
you.
have reformulated your speech that way.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Guerdah and Toastmaster Luciana, for that amazing pair of speaker and evaluator. And thank you, Brahm. Let me call upon the next and the last speaker evaluator pair, Toastmaster Nikita and Toastmaster Nzinga was having some issues. I think that issue might be solved.
No, she still has the issues.
She still has.
Yeah, she cannot join.
Oh, Nikita,
okay.
we are here for you then. No worries.
Yay. Let's go.
Let's go. So let me ask Brahm, what was his takeaway? Because he mentioned a takeaway after her speech. Elaborate on that.
To begin with, for the audience's information here, Nikita was a semi-finalist 2 years ago at the World Champion of Public Speaking as a semi-finalist. And she presented online from Spain. So, and she's been trained by some of the best speakers who was a member here. First, she got to Joao. She was trained by them. So, and you could see that in her presentation, okay, how she thought through the presentation. And so for me, I'm struggling with social media currently. And actually, I had decided this past week that this coming week, for 3 days, I'll take time off from everything and just focus on social media and my social media strategy coming up, because I'm doing some huge projects coming up. So what that would be like. So I'm in my winter. So I really loved that particular presentation, and I could begin to see for myself, because I'm an entrepreneur just like you are, and how I need to promote myself. So that was you excelled at that, because you got me. You informed me, you motivated me. So those are two things. You informed and motivated me into thinking, this is where I am and this is where I'm. And so what I was thinking is relevant, that I should really take time off and really not worry too much about posting, because I do worry, just like you said, I do worry about posting. So what I'm saying is, as an audience, I got a lot out of your speech. Even though I've been an entrepreneur for so long and I've been on social media for so long, I got a lot out of it. You prepared well, is what I'm saying. Okay. So in a way, that's my overview. Over to you, Vinod, and I'll come back if some thoughts strike me.
Thank you. My takeaway was the last message that you said: renew and reflect, and align with your inner season. That resonated more with me when you were speaking about the seasons, the renew, reflect. But I would love if you can add one more word over there and make a triad out of it: renew, reflect, grow, or renew, reflect, succeed, whatever you think, something, and make it your tagline. Like when you align with your inner seasons, right? Or this is for this, or this is for that. So let's start with the opening. Or let me first ask you, Nikita, when you had this idea, from where did you get this idea first? Like there might be something in your mind. When did it struck that this is a speech that I want to give here?
So I always speak from personal experience. I don't enjoy speaking too much from on research. Research for me is personal experience. So that's the first thing. When I thought, how I have to give a speech on social media, so my process usually is like my spring process, like just taking all the inspiration that comes. So for example, maybe I'm just getting out of the shower, which happened in this case, and I had a whole speech that I just had to record quickly because the inspiration came instantly. And I turned on my recorder and I started recording. And for 7 minutes, I was just talking to myself. And I think months ago, when I decided that this is a speech I want to do, the inspiration came again. That was the first time the inspiration came, and I wrote a whole speech. So I had a speech written and I had a speech recorded. And it was just a matter of finding what message can I focus on. And for me, because a lot of my focus right now is aligning my social media with my seasons. So that was just the truth, and it's personal experience and personal process, because it is the social media process I'm in right now.
Thank you, Nikita, for that. And I also get ideas and run from the shower and I write it on my digital notebook. And my wife always shouts whenever I do that. And she thinks I am crazy.
You have to be
But
crazy
I completely,
to do.
yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. Now, I have not asked this question to the previous two speakers because usually in our club, we don't dwell into that too much. We are looking at the speech. Here, you were true to your project purpose, right? So in Pathways, we have a project. That project may have 2-3 activities. It has a speech. And based on the purpose of the project, we are delivering the speech. So here it was building social media presence, and you had to share an experience. So Brahm, according to you, was Nikita successful in sharing her experience in building a brand? Or what could have been much better according to you?
So this speech was about building a social media presence. And what this speech was all about was the different seasons you go through as you're, on social media, and how you progress forward in your own business or whatever, and the cycles you take, and then you reinvent yourself and so on. So that's what the speech was more about, rather than the actual presence on social media itself. And so, like, were you on LinkedIn? Were you on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube? And there's so many of them, but those are the main ones. And so, which platform was it, and what did you undergo through it, and the followers and all that, and the building of that aspect was missing in terms of if you really true blue go to the purpose of the presentation. I would have mentioned some of those things and the cycles you go through, how you lose members, followers, how you gain followers, and the seasons too. But that little bit, it could have been a very short part inserted in there somewhere. That's my opinion. And it's just an opinion, but what do you think, Vinod?
Yes, I wanted to highlight that because in one of the social media classes that I had attended, a master class, the professor had mentioned of something about identity and image. Nikita spoke about her identity, that who I am, I want to align with my like what you say, seasons and all this. So that is more about who I am. Image is what you want to project to the world. So it may be that you are one person, but you want to project an image that I am always with my family, or I am something this. So the image that you project is a thought of strategy for your business or building your brand. I personally felt Nikita was speaking more on identity, like it was the Jungian way, Carl Jung's way of self and knowing more about myself. And I align with this. This is summer. This is this. This is this, which is a very powerful speech. But to the purpose of the social media, that thing, I believe we would have loved to hear what was the image that she wants to project in front of the world. And
so Vinod, last week you said the mountain or the market.
Forward, yeah.
The mountain or the market. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that was your presentation.
Yeah, so the benefit of everyone. So mountain and market. Market is reality. We all have to earn money in the market. Whether whatever people say you do charity, whatever it is, the reality of life is you have to be in the market. But many times being in the market may drain you. Sometimes then you have to go to the mountain. So in many countries, you will go after 11 months for 1 month holiday, or after 3 months, 1 week holiday, whatever it is. So what you were trying to link was identity is your like what is in a mountain, and image is the market. So Nikita, building on that, because I think you have all the skills in the world, amazing dancer, amazing speaker. We want to see you more on your image as someone who is authoritative and taking control. Let's get back to the
respond?
Yeah, please, Nikita.
Yes, I think it's very difficult to craft a speech that's minimalistic in its message, because it's so often that we have so much noise, right? And like you said earlier, how do you reduce the fluff? So my intention here was really like, because yes, if I have another speech with all of that information that you just mentioned, that was not the speech that I gave, but it was one of the 2 speeches I prepared to give. And but for me, the goal really is, how can I be minimalistic in the message? And that's so difficult. In this case, the message really was intentionally focusing on what is the strategy to build the habit of consistency, because that was the problem, is the consistency. So in this case, aligning with the seasons for me there was intention, right? To find the one thread of I'm working on consistency, and I'm working on consistency by understanding these are my seasons, and this is how I prepare for every season.
Amazing. And Nikita, actually, I believe this is the line that was missed in your speech. Consistency. Because I can tell you one thing, not only for me, you, everybody in this room, we all have that challenge of consistency. So it's a universal thing. The point that I want to highlight is it's a universal thing. So your speech could have been much more powerful if you had make that speech revolved around the word consistency and the title season for every whatever was that, and you linked it in a nice way. But the main challenge, just as in the previous speech, was a relationship, the theme, the theme in your speech could have been consistency. So what happens here? What happens here in summer? So at that time, what needs to, you said all those things, but now when you spoke about consistency, it came as a very powerful word, right? You believe in that we should be consistent, then only we can be successful in this. But that was something which was missed in the speech. So I think it would be like what you said, much better. So in the body, you mentioned about all the 4 seasons. So it was like what needs to be done. So what type of speech it was, Brahm, I would ask you, according to you?
Well, because of where I am with my social media and the pause that I've taken, I was motivated by this particular presentation and maybe even inspired, I would have thought, really. Because of where I am, because every audience is, experience would be different depending on where they are at. But this was very personal. So yeah, so that's what it was for me.
Thank you. So for me also, it was motivational because I am also not very active on social media. So it's a push that, okay, at least there are seasons. Now I understand that every day is not Sunday type thing, that you can't be always like this. So we have to adjust according to that. It was a very good message and powerful message. The theme, consistency, relationship, and in the first it was planning. So these were the 3 themes in today's meeting. So around this revolve or package the speeches. So I believe you have a very strong, I personally believe a business that will not fail in 21st century is if you know how to build a personal brand and help others to build a personal brand. That's a gold mine. If you can do that, and if you can help others to do that, do it for 5,000 people, charge $5,000. You are a multimillionaire. So you can do that, Nikita. So thank you very much for the time. And I can see Jyoti, it's a red light. Thank you and for that. And on behalf of your evaluator, Nzinga also. Like you both partner together and whatever needs to be done, you both did together. But sometimes it happens, this fails. Thank you, Nzinga and Nikita. Thank you very much. And with that, it's a wrap from my side, I believe. And back to our trainer and founder, Toastmaster Brahm. Over to you.
Thank you, Vinod. Now, dear guests, I hope that you got value out of this particular session. We will be doing one more training session coming up in 3 months' time because we do one every 3 months. So if this is January, the next one will probably be towards the end of April, maybe beginning of May. I don't know. Give or take. We'll decide on the date. We'll let you know. Please keep coming to these training sessions. There's a link is being posted again. Hannah, if you can post that link to our guest book. Dear guests, please sign into the guest book. Thank you for those who have already done so. If you've signed in the guest book and you said, no, I don't want to be a member, and you've changed your mind, fill the guest book again, because now you know the value we provide. And this was just touching the surface, the tip of the iceberg of what we really do in this club. We really go deep intensively to really train our presenters and speakers to the next level. We want them to succeed and excel, not only in Toastmasters, but outside in their real life. And that's why we are here. So critical thinking is the key factor. Our club's mission statement is to be, it's right above there in short form, for better self-directed leaders. And if you're going to be self-directed, it means you need to have critical thinking, right? Where am I at? Where was I? Where I'm at, and where will I be? The seasons, as Nikita has mentioned, and all the seasons that you're working on in your life. And so, where do you want to see yourself at the end of the year in Toastmasters? Where do you want to see yourself at the end of the year in your organization, in your work, in your family, wherever you're partaking in your communities? And how can Toastmasters help you do that? By the sort of presentations you make here and other training, steep leadership training that we do on Tuesdays as well. So besides our formal Saturday meeting, we meet twice a week on Tuesdays for training on your speaking and on leadership skills, and on Thursday, training for this particular meeting coming up on Saturday if you want to be trained to the next level. So there's a lot of, and those are optional meetings of options. If you want to attend, you can attend as a member, of course. It's only open to members. Dear guests, critical thinking is very, very important. So in conclusion, always think about your audience. It's always about your audience. It's not about you. And what is the audience's takeaway? What is their call to action, if any? Did you inspire them, motivate them, persuade them, inform them? What did you do for the audience? Very, very important. And based on that, how are you going to craft your speech? How are you going to stack the ideas? What's going to be your title and the opening? In any presentation that you want to make, of course, you have an idea. And as quite rightly pointed out by Nikita, who's an experienced speaker, she had this idea a month ago. She recorded it, she wrote it, and then brought it all together and did the best that she can. And it was pretty apparent that she'd done quite a bit of work on that. So what is the takeaway for the audience? What's my title? How am I going to sort of speak? Oh, this is when I put up my thumb, this thing comes up. And therefore, how am I going to take the audience through a journey where they are wrapped with attention and say, wow, I got it. And this is what I can use. Or even if they're not really, that particular subject doesn't really call to them, because if this is a general Toastmasters meeting, there's always something to learn, right, from each other. So ladies and gentlemen, and guests especially, please put in the guest book, sign in, tell us your interest if you want to join the club, whether you want to be trained to the next level of excellence. We, as you see from this particular meeting, we have very high standards in how we conduct ourselves. And this was just the tip of the iceberg. Thank you all very much. And now I'd like to speak to our guests. Ladies and gentlemen, if the guests are still here, I will have time with the guests. I will, if you want to speak to me, or if you want to sort of be introduced as a guest, please put on your video, or I'll just call randomly a few guests here that I can see on my screen. And the first guest that I can see is Jasmine Ngu, if you're here, or David Gray. I know David Gray put in his name in the... oh, there's Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I can't see you, but that's fine. And how did you enjoy the meeting? And did you get anything out of this meeting in the training?
Yeah, I think it is very, very good.
Uh-huh.
Why I cannot see you? Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you are.
I think the meeting is very, very good. It's very constructive. And then I think the speaker gain a lot, and what to put in and what not to put in. And then of course, how do you connect your beginning to the end? I think it's a very, very good session.
Good, very good. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and please put in your name in the guest book. Were you thinking of becoming a member here?
The time is a bit hard because now we are nearly 12 o'clock already. So think about that. I think this is very hard. The time is very, very, very hard. So I don't mind to come here sometime, not all the time. So so this is the way.
Okay, well, wonderful. So please, whenever you have time to attend, please do attend our meetings, and we'll be pleased to have you as a guest. Thank you very much. And do still fill in the guest book if you can. That'd be great.
Thank you,
Jasmine. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. The next guest that I can see is Manketesi Thiape. Manketsi.
Yes, Manketsi Thiape.
How are you?
I can't complain. How are you, TM?
Well, I'm doing very well, and thank you for coming to our meeting.
Thank you so much.
What country are you from?
I'm in South Africa.
Yes, in South Africa. And did you enjoy our meeting today? Did you get value out of it?
Very much. Such an eye-opener, especially the panel for discussion on evaluations. It gives the in-depth and how you relate with your topic, also taking your audience along, so that we always check our topics. It should not be misleading, for lack of better word. Yes.
Yes. And so, of course, which means creating trust with your audience, right? And the
Yes,
audience trusts you.
yes.
It's authentic. If it is research-based, that it is backed up by solid research and references and so on, right? If
True,
there was none
true.
this particular 3 presentation about any solid research and so on, they were all personal stories mostly. Great, awesome. So, would you like to be a member? Are you thinking of being a member, or you just want to visit us in the future?
I'm pushing the levels. I saw the requirement.
The
that
requirement is 3 levels,
complete
yes.
the level 3. I'm still
Mm.
with my club, and my president invited
Sure.
me here, Sonia. So yeah, probably as I advance, I will become a member.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we are an advanced club. We don't teach the basics, which you really
True,
need to get under
true.
your belt before you come to an advanced club. So that's why
Yeah.
we have a requirement of level 3 before
Thanks
you
so
come.
much. Thanks
You're
a
welcome.
lot.
Thank you. We have Sam Xiang, Sam, or Sonia Morel. Oh, she was here last week, Sonia. Then there was another Leah, not Leah Musunga, remember, but Leah, I don't know, she was here earlier. She's gone, I think. David Gray, are you there? So if you're a guest and you like to be, or you like to speak to us, Paul Mwanga. Hello, Paul, are you there? Okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, then, well, I'm actually pleased to say that a lot of guests did sign in. Hey, David, how are you? There you go. Oh, thank you for putting on your video. How are you?
How are you?
Very good, very good. And
I
let
hope
me
you can
ask you the
enjoy.
same question. How did you enjoy our meeting, and did you get any value out of today's meeting?
The meeting was fantastic. I enjoyed every bit, especially the evaluation sessions, the panel discussions. I totally got so much value from what you shared. Thank you.
Wonderful. And what country are you from, David?
I'm in Nairobi. I'm Rosie's neighbor
Oh,
here, somewhere here.
habari yako?
Salama sana kabisa.
I would have never guessed you're from Kenya because the last name says Gray, but I have to catch up with it. I've been away from Kenya for almost 40 years. So
Okay, okay.
anyway,
And
so David, are you thinking of being a member?
yes, this is, I think, should be my second time to visit
Oh, okay.
to speak, yeah. And the first time I just popped in, but now today I just thought, let me just come through to the very end. And I am totally impressed by what I've observed today.
Wonderful. So why don't you fill in the guest book, and we will get in touch with you. If you want to become a member, we can have a chat. Right?
Most definitely.
We can take it from there. Thank you
All
very
right.
much, David, for visiting us. And of course, let me remind everyone, and you, David, this meeting is being recorded and it'll be posted, and it is already on YouTube. It's been streamed live, but it'll also be posted, reposted again as well. So it's always available on YouTube to review if you wish to. Thank you for being here, David.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's see if there's any other guests that I put on the video. If not, Sam Hyang, Sonia Morel, Paul Mwanga. Okay. With that, ladies and gentlemen, in that case, critical thinking. It is very critical to think critically. Sorry, is there somebody?
Yeah, this me. Since David was the last guest and there is no other guest, allow me to interject, this Rosie.
Rosie, by all means.
Well, I just wanted to say David is an incredible quiz master. And he brings that skill to Toastmasters in a unique way. I mean, he practices it in his work. He's a team builder and all, but he brings that skill to Toastmasters in such a unique way. And it would be wonderful one of the days to invite him to run a Kahoot session. It would be a unique difference. So maybe if he joins us, that would be one of the first challenges for David. Yeah. Very unique. You're muted, Brahm. I can't hear you.
Yes,
thank you very much for the recommendation. David, now you're on the spot. David, we look forward to this.
Most definitely. It will be my pleasure, for sure.
All right. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you, David. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, critical thinking is critical to how we think in Toastmasters because it's going to help us out in the real world. Professional speakers spend a lot of time preparing. The world champions of public speaking, when they become world champions, they deliver that one speech hundreds of times, honing in and simplifying. Like Nikita says, it's very difficult to simplify and take off the fluff. And, you know, when we are newer speakers, we tend to have so much stuff in there and it doesn't land anything for the audience, especially if it's a 7-minute speech. Even if it's an hour-long keynote, there has to be specific how you stake the different parts of the keynote to reach to a conclusion, a rousing conclusion, or persuasion, information, motivation, whatever it is for your audience. Critical thinking is so essential in real life. When you're making a presentation to your boardroom, to your colleagues, critical thinking is important. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned. Please switch off the recording. Thank you.